This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, joining us today is Oliver Friesen, the CEO of Golden Metal Resources. Following the announcement that the company has listed onto the London Stock Exchange, congratulations on the listing, Oliver, raising a total of 1.982 million. So first of all, just give me your reaction.
Jubilation, Mark. I know we spoke a few times over the last few months here, and it felt like the listing was imminent, but we're finally here now, and we're really happy with the position the company's in and position the market's in as well.
No, that's very good. It's been a long time coming, but there you have your listing onto the AIM segment of the main market. So, I mean, first of all, let me ask you on the raise. How did you find the raise, the process of the raise? I think it probably took a little bit longer than perhaps you were hoping for or others were hoping for. But generally, what was the appetite for the proposition that Golden Metal Resources were putting to investors?
Yeah, ultimately the appetite was good, Mark. 4 or 5 months ago, I think the market was in a much different place than it's in now. Things have definitely improved when it comes to a lot of metal pricings. And on top of that, the demand for critical minerals like tungsten is really at all-time highs as countries look to reduce their dependence on countries like Russia and China for those very important metals. So ultimately, the last few weeks here have really sort of changed. The narrative has really changed, and that's when a lot of investors sort of started to pile in. So we're really happy with the amount that we raised. We have a really great investor base. We were also successful in bringing in 2 cornerstone investors into the IPO. Those were both American nationals, high net worth individuals, which I think further validates and just proves to the market what we're doing and what we're looking to accomplish within the United States of America.
Excellent. Well, it's good to hear there was lots of appetite there, and actually ramping up in the last few weeks as well. That is very promising signs. I know I was at Mines and Money just last week, really, and the appetite there for compelling projects was high. There's a lot of money on the sidelines. People are a little bit hesitant, perhaps, to put it at risk at the moment, given the current macro environment. But for compelling mining projects, there's a lot of interest. There's definitely a lot of interest in the space, and it's good to hear that you've got 2 big cornerstone investors there from North America as well. Some good homegrown investors there for, of course, the big projects out in North America. Could you perhaps remind us of the projects that the company has and the commodities that you're focused on?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So as a reminder, we are 100% Nevada-focused exploration and development company. All 4 of our assets are located in the very mining-friendly state of Nevada. Nevada being one of the top-ranked jurisdictions in the world to explore, to develop, and to put mines into production. So it's a great place to work. I actually used to live in Nevada myself and work for Barrick Gold. So it's a state and a jurisdiction that I feel really comfortable with and have really good connections within, which will allow us to push these projects forward. So as a reminder, our flagship asset is the 100% owned Pilot Mountain project, which hosts one of the largest undeveloped tungsten resources in the United States of America. And the reason that this particular asset is so important right now is the U.S. currently has no domestic primary production of tungsten. So they don't actually produce or mine any of their own tungsten. So as a result, they are a net importer of the very critical, and on top of that, defense metal. And to that end, China is currently their largest import partner. So the majority of the tungsten that the U.S. imports, more than 30%, comes from China. And the U.S. and other countries are now looking to actively reduce their dependence on places in countries like China and Russia for these really important critical and defense metals. So it's a great position for us to be in, holding this very strategic asset. I think some numbers to get potential investors and those who have invested excited about what we're doing here and exactly how they're looking to solve this problem. The Department of Defense just received $250 million from the Biden administration. These are funds that are going to be actively deployed towards exploration and development projects, which specifically have a focus on defense metals. On top of that, various other U.S. Organizations and departments have funding from the Biden administration to deploy towards projects and companies like Golden Metal and Pilot Mountain. So it's a really exciting time. The U.S. is really now looking to put funds to behind these projects and companies, looking to improve their own domestic supply chains for these really important critical and battery metals. So the timing, I think, is really great. On top of that, we have a really good blend of assets. So Pilot Mountain being our flagship asset. We also have a really intriguing Carlin type gold opportunity in northern Nevada. So Carlin type gold is a type of gold deposit found almost exclusively within the state of Nevada. Some very large and high grade gold deposits in this part of the world, mostly which are owned by the likes of Barrick Gold and Newmont Mining. So there's a lot of exploration to be done there. There's some really intriguing and exciting high grade gold that's been found at surface historically, and we're looking to follow up on that and explore for a potential feeder zone for where that gold could have been remobilized from. And then to sort of round it out, we have two really interesting base metal assets. Those are the Garfield and Stonewall projects. So I think all in all, it gives our investors and potential investors a really good, well-rounded asset base with exposure to multiple different critical, precious, and base metals. And on top of that, projects that are at different sort of stages in the exploration and development cycle. So we'll be providing lots of different sort of news releases relating to exploration at different stages of the life cycle of an exploration project.
Well, that's very good to hear. We'll come on to just where you're going to focus that in a moment, but I think you are definitely right time, right place with the gold there, and of course what's happening recently with the price of gold, but also with tungsten. You say the only deposit of tungsten the biggest, you said the biggest deposit of tungsten in the United States, and they don't have any home domestic supply. It's all coming from China. I was actually speaking to someone from the United States government at the Mines and Money show, and his job was effectively to ensure that critical minerals list that the United States have, they can secure supply of it. And he was at that show looking at companies to effectively to partner with, so this is really happening. This is a real big deal. So, I mean, is it fair to say that with Pilot Mountain being your flagship project, that's where the focus is going to be now that you've got your listing, you've got the money? Where are you going to put that money? Where are you going to focus your priorities?
Yeah, so absolutely. Pilot Mountain is our focus. It's going to be where we're putting the majority of the use of proceeds in our exploration efforts towards, and commercial efforts as well. And then just in terms of to highlight to investors what's kind of coming down the pipeline here in terms of exploration news flow and corporate commercial news flow. So on Pilot Mountain, and those listening might remember that we've actually carried out some pretty exciting exploration work late in 2022. If those have seen previous RNSs out of Power Metal Resources, one of our large shareholders, or from Gold and Metal specifically. So what we've done there is we've actually carried out a high resolution 3D induced polarization survey across that property with a specific focus between the 4 satellite deposit areas at that project. So looking to be the first company to ever really go and actively explore for additional zones of tungsten, copper, silver, zinc mineralization underneath very thin post-mineral sedimentary and volcanic cover. So it's an area that's really a priority for us as we look to expand the size and on top of that, the grade of the resources at Pilot Mountain. On top of that, we've also carried out a high resolution soil sampling survey across our Garfield property. This work was also carried out late in 2022. So now that we've listed, now that we're public, we're able to receive those results. So we'll have those in hand and then looking to compile those, interpret those, and then get those out to the market. So I think those are going to be 2 really exciting pieces of news to come to the market very early in our company's sort of post-IPO life. And then on top of that, we're going to be very much an exploration focused and forward company. That's what we're looking to do. I'm a geologist myself, so we're looking to push these assets forward and create value for our shareholders. So there's various other exploration developments, and on top of that, some commercial and corporate angles and developments that we're pushing forward to here. So I won't say any more about those, but what I will say is that there's going to be a plethora of news for investors and potential investors to look forward to as we push this company forward.
A plethora of news. Well, I'm sure investors will be very keen to hear those words, Oliver. And now that you are listed, now that you are able to get active very much on the ground, I'm sure we'll be speaking a lot more and catching up on those developments and the news as and when appropriate. But for now, congratulations again, the CEO there, Oliver Friesen of Gold and Metal Resources, for your time today.
Thanks, Mark. Chat soon.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet.
subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.